Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Maine.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Break.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. When you hear your voice, you know that it's Wednesday. You know that it's 3 p.m. This is WDDO. Welcome. Those of you who are listening on radio, on AM, FM, and those who are with us live on Facebook Live, and all the other media that are at your disposal. We want to welcome you and thank you so very much for tuning in today. We have a wonderful show for you. All of our shows are wonderful, but this is one that a lot of people have been anxiously awaiting. We were trying to get our very own Dr. Jimmy Smith on here, and the devil was so busy. He got locked out of the studio one time, and another time, he wasn't available and all of this. But we were determined that we were going to get him on, and he has been very gracious in clearing his schedule for today so that we could have him on. He is Dr. Jimmy Smith, and he is the administrator of our Macon-Bibb County Health Department. And he oversees an awful lot. First of all, we're very proud of him. He's been in that position a little over a year, but he's not new to healthcare or to Macon-Bibb Health Department. He's been with us, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his background. You're going to be proud as well. But I want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Senator Lucas, who is one of our sponsors. We want to thank former Mayor C. Jack Ellis. I think Jack is probably back in Africa or something, but anyway, he's back and forth, but he helps to sponsor and keep this program on the air. My sister, Glory Baking Company, Beverly Huckabee, she's a co-sponsor. We also want to thank Sheriff David Davis, who is also one of our sponsors, and they help to keep this program. And our other sponsor is Black Voters Matter. They are a non-partisan organization, and they are going to be working through us and through other folks in this community and all over the state of Georgia to help encourage you to get out and vote, to vote for the candidates of your choice, but to vote for those folks who are going to operate in your best interest. And you know who those folks are. So that's our way of welcoming you. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you once again to this program. Welcome, Dr. Smith. We're just so happy to have you here. I'm going to go through one or two things before we open it up and have you to tell us the latest information that we need to know about healthcare in Macon-Bibb County. I want to let all of you know that the Macon Mall project is up and going. On last evening, your Macon-Bibb Commission voted unanimously to approve the issuance of bonds, $44 million in bonds. And the good thing about it is not only will we have the revitalization of that mall and the properties around it, but we also will have a library branch located at the mall. Board of Elections is going to relocate, and two or three other governmental buildings, planning and zoning, and community development. Just a number of city and county agencies will relocate to the mall property. There'll be pickleball, from what I understand, that they're already talking about just how many pickleball, how many players will be able to, how many courts they will have there. There's talk of just all kinds of businesses that folks are expressing an interest in placing at the mall or in the mall, the vicinity of the mall. And it's also going to bring about development of the surrounding areas, the residential areas. So this Macon Mall, what we call the old Macon Mall, is the place to be. I think people are just bidding on who's going to pay the most for property around there. So you will have your amphitheater with a lot of different offerings, cultural offerings for this community. And so it was my pleasure to vote in favor of it. We had to have all of the numbers and all of the information. We got all that on yesterday evening, the final numbers, and very soon you're going to start seeing some things moving at the Macon Mall, and I know that you'll be happy. We can support two malls. We can have the shops at River Crossing, and we can have what we think of as the old Macon Mall. We can have both of them. They can be vibrant. They both can be in development. They both can bring about economic development for the community. So we are just really, really pleased with that particular development. And as the weeks go by, I will try and bring you additional information on what's going on in your community. But that's the biggie. That's the big thing. The other thing that you need to remember is that elections are coming up in May. This will be the primary election, and that's the election where you designate whether you are wanting to vote for in the Democratic primary or the Republican primary. And then everybody will get to vote in the nonpartisan races. That's those races where people qualified for office, but they didn't have to designate a particular political party. Just to recap the races that you'll be voting in. You will be voting in in the governor's race. You'll be voting in May, but during May you'll be deciding which Democrat you want to face which Republican in November. So you have the race for governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and you know that we are very, very supportive of Black candidates running for all of these statewide offices too. Right now, there are no state Blacks elected statewide in the state of Georgia, other than, well, we have our Congressman Senator Warnock, which is, we vote on him from all over the state. But I can't think of anybody else who is Black, who is in office, who's voted on statewide. But anyway, we need to change that. And the only way you can change it is with your vote. Attorney General, Commissioner of Agriculture, Commissioner of Insurance, State School Superintendent, Commissioner of Labor, Public Service Commissioner, state senators. And by the way, Senator Lucas is going to be on in the next few weeks once they finish up with this legislative session. And he's going to tell you about the damage that was done during this legislative session, and there's a lot of it that was done, that's being done, especially where your voting rights are concerned. Then the state representatives. And I don't think any of our senators or representatives have any opposition. But they'll appreciate you voting for them anyway. If you go in and you see only one candidate in an office running for an office, you can still vote for that person. They would appreciate it. I know I always did. And then, of course, our U.S. representatives. There's a lot of folks running in different parts of the state of Georgia for Congress. Then on the local level, we'll also have these nonpartisan races. You'll have the judge of state court, judge of civil and magistrate court, and I don't think either one of those have any opposition, but vote for them anyway. If you like them, vote for them anyway. Bibb County Board of Education, Post 7, there's no opposition. Darrell Martin does not have opposition, but Dr. Lisa Garrett does have opposition, and we will be trying to get those candidates on so we can see, give you an idea of the decision you need to make about who to vote for there. The Water Authority chairman, there are 3 who are running for chair of the Water Authority. Chairman Sam Hart, chose to retire. He is not running again for election as the Water Board chair. And so there are 3 folks who are running: Bechtel, Dr. Tom Ellington, Gary Bechtel, Dr. Tom Ellington, and Desmond Brown, who formerly served in District 2 on the Water Board. Then for the Water Authority District 1, Anissa Jones, Dr. Anissa Jones, has opposition. She and another Water Board member, Dwight Jones, who was my 2nd grade student, by the way, he's on the Water Board. They're going to be our special guest next week, and they're going to talk about water issues. They're going to talk about issues with your water, why it was necessary for us to have a huge plan to do stormwater repairs in Macon-Bibb County, why you were assessed a fee on your water bill, and then how they're dealing with the problems that churches and businesses are having with huge increases because of the stormwater fees. So we look forward to having those school board members water board members next week to talk to you about all things water board. Then District 4, there is no opposition. The Supreme Court, Judge of Georgia, the Court of Appeals, and the Judge of Superior Court, Judge Sims, is unopposed. And I'm not sure about those other 2 judges. But in subsequent programs, we will be bringing on some of those candidates to talk to you, to ask you for your support. There are a number of them who live around this area who will be running. So we want to make sure that you know who's running and you have a little information on them. You get to know what they look like. And also have them to ask you for your support. We want to thank Pastor Lisa for always being there. She says we always want and we need educated and informed voters. We also want to thank Maria Bryant, who reminds us that we need to vote the entire ticket. And she is right. You have some favorite candidates who happen to be Black who are running for office, and you don't vote down the ticket in every one of the races, you're going to miss some of them. And so it's incumbent upon us to vote all the way down, not just the top race or the top 2 races. And we will have flyers that will have listings and pictures of all of the candidates so you can take a look at them and decide for yourself who you want to vote for. But don't sit this election out. Many of you are saying, well, the big race is going to be in November. Every race is the big race. And the ones that you think that you don't need to vote in, like the one where we had consolidation on the ballot a few years ago, when you didn't go vote, a lot of people didn't go vote. That's how we ended up with consolidation. So we want you to make sure that you vote every time. Every time. And yes, I keep bugging you about it because it's important. I wouldn't say a word if it weren't important. If it weren't important, I would not say a word. Every race is the big race. And you're right, Pastor Lisa. So we encourage you to add your comments to the chat. We will call out those folks. We'll list those folks who are here, who have joined us on Facebook Live. Any questions that you might have, then we'll be glad to read those off for the folks who are listening on AM or FM. And then all of you can go back and replay this particular program. We get a lot of views that way. But right now, we have our special guest, who is none other than Dr. Jimmy Smith. He is the administrator of the Macon-Bibb County Health Department. And I am just proud, not only as a member of the Board of Health, but as a Black person living in this community, that we have someone that everybody knows is doing an excellent job with our Macon-Bibb Board of Health. And he's going to tell you a lot about what he and his staff are doing. So first of all, we want you to reacquaint the folks out there about yourself, Doc. And then we'll talk about some specific programs, some concerns that you have, and then some specific programs. But welcome to Ask Elaine.
Okay. Thank you for having me today. And it certainly is a pleasure to be here once again to talk about the services we have here at the health department. I have been in this community for a little more than 20 years now. My wife's family is from here. My wife is also a healthcare provider in this community, as she leads the Family Health Center for Atrium and training other family docs here. So we take our work very seriously, and we consider it not just work, but our mission to try to keep this community healthy.
Okay, now your family is here. You have, I know you're proud of your children. I know you want to brag about them. So go right ahead before we get into the other stuff.
The family is here, have 3 children. Elizabeth and Amelia are both Central Charger grads. Elizabeth is now off in grad school at University of Delaware. Amelia is now a biomedical engineer working in cold Minneapolis, Minnesota. And our youngest, Gordon, finished Mountain Sales, and he's a junior at Morehouse.
Oh, okay. I remember him coming to the commission with an Eagle Scout project.
Yep, he certainly did.
That was just really exciting. We were all happy to support him. And I'm especially, I like kids coming, young people coming, but I like our kids coming too, to show people who don't believe in us, who aren't quite convinced. I like for them to be convinced.
Yep, his Eagle Scout project dealt with honoring those Negro League baseball players from Macon, and there are many more. But doing that, and those plaques are actually still up at Luther Williams Field, and part of the Macon Bacon team actually recognizes those during their season.
And I thought that was a wonderful project. Now, Board of Health. What are some of the areas of deepest concern for you as the administrator? You are a medical doctor, highly trained, lots of experience, but what's most troubling to you? What is it that you want to focus on the most?
Right now, I'd love to focus on cancer prevention, particularly among our young ladies. We actually have a program called our Breast and Cervical Cancer Prevention Program, for which we're not getting a great number of people come in. So if a young woman is a Georgia resident, does not have health insurance, and is over the age of between 21 and 64, we can provide that cervical cancer screening for her. If the young lady is over 40, between 40 and 64, we can provide the clinical breast exam on site, and then we will set them up with a mammogram, which we will pay for. So really encouraging our community to come in. Breast cancer is one of those things. If we can find it early, there are lots and lots of options for that person. But we really like to find it early, give you a chance to meet with our nurse practitioners and our nurses to teach someone how to do a self-breast exam at home.
A lot of our folks are fearful of doctors. We go
Yes.
too late. We go late in the illness,
Right.
and it's harder to treat, more expensive, and the outcomes are not as good.
Right. And that's the key. If we can get to folks early, it is fearful for some. But just know when you're coming to the health department, you're coming to a facility, but also we're trying to work our best to make you realize when you come to our facility, you're coming to family. Our staff are, many are born, raised, work in Macon, and care about the community. So when you're coming, you're not just a number to us. You're not just an ID number on a chart. You're a person. And we would really like to help walk our people through that process.
Tell them about the new building.
The new building is a wonderful facility. I will tell anyone there's not another local public health department that looks like ours in the state of Georgia. So it is certainly a state-of-the-art building. We're able to even do telemedicine. We have reopened the dental clinic. Yesterday, we had patients come in all day long,
I know
young
you
people
did.
and
Yeah.
adults. So we're really happy about the building, but we want folks to utilize that community resource.
Okay.
that
Now,
we
for
have.
those who don't know, the health department is no longer on Emory Highway. Health department has moved into what used to be the Ortho
Correct.
buildings. They were renovated, and SPLOST monies were used. Some SPLOST money, as well as some other monies, were used to renovate the building there at near Fountain Car Wash in that area there, Forsyth and Street. And that's the new health department. Plenty of parking, plenty of space. Tell us about the different departments that are found there.
So our many departments, we have what we call our community health department, which is all of our clinical services. So we have 2 licensed practical nurses, 2 registered nurses, 2 nurse practitioners at present. We have doctors that we work with from Atrium that come in once a month, particularly those in our OBGYN program. We're looking to partner with not only pediatrics, but family medicine, and hope to have that up in the next 3 to 4 months. We have a dental clinic there. We're also responsible for, in this, I won't say for this county, but for this region, birth certificates, death certificates, and also we're an issuer of the low THC oil cards or the marijuana cards. So as those are distributed by the state, we're one of the locations that people come as far away as 3 hours to Bibb County to pick those up.
Okay, so some people think I don't need to go to the health department. I've got my own doctor. You can see from what Dr. Smith is saying that all of the services, there's so many services that are provided at the health department. Immunizations. Let's
Yes.
talk about that a little
Sure.
bit.
We provide immunizations for any age group, from our newborns all the way up. So throughout adult life, we see lots of kids come in with their parents. So the parents are bringing the children for the immunizations, but forget about their own. So when you come, we will certainly check to see if you're missing some immunizations. And if you are, we will offer those to you.
Yeah.
We also have the ability to do immunizations once we're a little further past COVID and people begin to do international travel. We can provide those immunizations for international travel as well.
Yeah, I remember a few years back when we went with former Mayor Ellis to Ghana. We had to get these shots,
Right.
and some pills for malaria and all kinds of stuff. But it was very convenient
Yes.
to go there to the travel clinic and to get immunizations.
Yep. And that was a program that was started by former administrator, if I believe, under Mr. Ricks, because folks were having to travel to Atlanta. So he tried to find a way to bring that resource to Middle Georgia, because there are lots of folks in our community that do mission trips, trips for political purposes, and we want to make sure that they're safe leaving and returning.
Right. Right. Okay. So now recently, you have immunized. I don't know whether it's. Let's just be safe and put tens of thousands of people for COVID,
Yes.
against COVID. Tell us about that.
Sure. We have been immunizing since late December of 2020 for COVID. We still encourage people, if you have not had the vaccine, please come see us. Um, when you come in, that is one, we don't require an appointment unless it helps you with your current work. But you can walk in and get that vaccine. We offer all three types, whether it's the Johnson and Johnson, the Pfizer, or the Moderna. We have first dose, second dose, as well as third dose. For those that are homebound, we have been working with the state of Georgia, so we probably have been to about 80 different homes to get the homebound as well.
Okay.
And our nurses will be going back out next week for folks that are now due for their second or third dose, which we know because of mobility can't get out.
Right, right. There are a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, that thing is gone. It's over with. Now we don't have to get that. We don't have to get that." I keep my mask with me. I just left the ribbon cutting for the train center where the 4-H agency is going in there. It's one of those historic buildings that was saved. I have my mask. I have it with me. Why? Why do I need to keep my mask, and why do people still need to get immunized?
Sure. The recommendations have changed from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. For those that have their first, second, and third dose and are in good health, no chronic medical conditions, it is now allowable for that person not to wear a mask. But I think you need to be careful of where you're going because you don't know the status or health of those that you're around. So we still encourage folks to keep a mask in our building. When you walk into our healthcare facility, we ask that all folks wear a mask during their time with us. For those that have a chronic medical condition, high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, congestive heart failure, history of cancer, we ask that you continue to wear your mask. There are variants that are still out. There was one that was announced on national news today that is now present in 14 states, but the numbers are very low. So we're having to watch it.
But you can still get it.
You can still get it. And people still do.
Yeah. So don't take a chance. If you're going to be out in a group or whatever, you don't know who has it or who does not. So, it's just if you need masks, they have them at the health department.
Yes.
We have them at EL High School Academy, along with information on a whole lot of different things. So, come by. We have the what is this that KN95, 95, which are supposed to be the ones that you're using now.
Yes, it's a KN95 is what's recommended. If a person doesn't have that particular type, then what we ask is that you would double the mask. So if you have the surgical type mask, which is either blue or black or different colors or pretty thin, is then to put that on and then to cover that with a fabric mask. In the last 60 days, our health department has handed out over 9,000 of those masks across the county to other organizations that are working with multitudes of people. On Friday, we will be visiting Veterans Elementary School here in Bibb County and working with a little over 500 students. And we'll be providing each one of them with masks to take home as well.
That's great.
In addition to some other things.
That's great. And don't forget Soul Jam. The Soul Jam Music Festival is May the 29th. That's at Henderson Stadium. So y'all start looking for your tickets and your information. Tucker is headlining, and your senator is supposed to be singing and everything with his shiny coat on and all of that. He's preparing a wonderful show for you. But while you're there, you can register to vote. NAACP will have a table set up. Health Department last year, y'all were very kind in providing me with bags with information. I think there was a mask in it and sanitizer, and people were very appreciative of getting that. There was also new information about the services of the health department.
Yes.
So we hope to provide those same things
Absolutely.
in May. Also, the Pedestrian Safety Review Board, which the health department partners with,
Yes.
because pedestrian deaths is a health issue. It's a health issue. And so we will have flashing armbands there, compliments of the Pedestrian Safety Review Board, and we'll have other information for you. So not only will you be able to come on May 29th to Henderson Stadium and bring your whole dinner and whatever you want, your libations, you can bring those and enjoy a whole evening of music outside, but you'll also have an opportunity to register to vote. You'll have an opportunity to get health information. Elected officials come in and out. Some of our community leaders will be there for you to meet. We're praying for Sheriff Davis, who is in a battle with leukemia, and we do hope that he's doing well, but he always comes. You have security there. We have no problems with anybody being unruly. Everybody's just happy and friendly, and some don't walk so straight, but they're okay too, and the fire department is there, and they make sure everything's all done from a safety standpoint. So it's just a wonderful event. But my point is that the health department is going to partner with us in providing some things for you, some information that you need to know. So all that will be available. And any event that I've been to recently at the Tubman, the Douglas, wherever it's been, the health department has been on site. The schools, there's one of the school nurses is on the health board of health.
Yes.
And there are lots of resources that are provided to children at school through that connection.
There are. In the past 2 weeks, we're trying to finish up before students are all for spring break this Friday. Our nurses are in the middle schools checking all of the 6th and 8th graders for scoliosis. So for your listeners, they remember that from when they were in middle school, and you have to come in and they check your spine to make sure it's not curved one way or the other too much. But our nurses have been in the middle schools for the last 2 weeks trying to finish those.
Okay. Y'all please hit share so that you can remind some folks. And we want to welcome you once again to Ask Elaine. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you to the program. I hope I am still your voice. And if there is anything that you need to know, if we don't know it, we will try and get that information. Healthcare is so very important. And Dr. Butler is talking about the great medical advice for staying safe from COVID and other things, and Pastor Lisa as well. And all of the information that Dr. Smith is sharing is beneficial, not just to you, but to all of your family members. Now, the cost, any cost with health services at the Board of Health?
There are some costs, but I would let our public know that no one will be turned away based on the ability to pay. So if a person's income is not that much, then we scale that charge to that. If a person has insurance, and then we file the insurance. But I do want folks to know our doors are open to you. We are there to serve this community. So if it's not a service that you need today, but you know that someone else that does, please get them to us, and we'd be happy to serve them.
Right. And if your organization, your fraternity, your sorority, your Masonic organization, Socialist Savings Club, church group, you're having an event where you're going to have some people there that you want to get out information, please contact the health department and let them know, and they are more than willing. They're health educators. Tell us about what health education does.
Sure. Our health educators, right now we have three on our team, and they're kind of divided in their duties. So we have one that works primarily on chronic disease, and even today, she's training to be able to help us to start to provide diabetes prevention classes at the health department, which is one we'd like to start this summer. We have a second health educator that focuses on injury prevention, pedestrian safety, and what we call safe kids, which is injury prevention related to sports, swimming, firearms, and car seats.
Yeah.
And then we have a third and lead health educator that focuses on teen and adolescent issues. So certainly if you reach out to us, we will get you to the right person and then be able to provide that resource.
Okay. What about resources for teens?
Our resources for teens, any of our clinical services are open to teens. This health department was designed such that it would actually have a separate teen center still on the 1600 Forsyth Street campus. Right now, we're actively recruiting for a nurse to lead that particular unit so that the teens could come and have their own facility to come through. Even on yesterday, I was at Middle Georgia State while they were having a career fair and got to meet with the Dean of Health Sciences. So as that university is graduating 400 or 500 nurses a year, we're looking to bring some of them on our team to help our work.
Okay. So those teen services are just so vital because teens have a lot of health issues, and there needs to be a place where they can go and and receive the services that they need. And they don't always come to the folks that we would like for them to come to. So we would like to have them to get the services that they need. And so that's just really, really important. I've said several times, I wish the school system would look again at setting up another teen parent center. I was a counselor at the teen parent center years ago, and we all worked that thing together. That was a wonderful collaborative, and just different partnerships. And the young moms would come and finish their education. They could even graduate. We had a special graduation ceremony there for those teens who decided that they wanted to stay and finish up 12th grade. And then, of course, there was daycare provided by DFACS on site. And there was a nurse responsible for the babies, working with the babies. There was a nurse responsible for working with the moms. And of course, with birth control and a whole lot of other things, because all of those things come to bear when you're dealing with teen pregnancy. And to me, that was just a wonderful collaborative, and I'm sorry that it's no longer in place. But that's something for this community to look at, whether our numbers warrant us having another teen parent center here in this community. Okay, new initiatives, things that you're going to be supportive. And remember, y'all, if you have a question, put it in the chat, or you can call us 478-250-1444. That's 478-250-1444. Okay, Doc, new initiatives?
Our new initiatives, we're certainly looking to develop more strategic partnerships with the community. We have, though it's a beautiful building, we have a small staff. So we know that there are places where we would like to be able to reach folks that we don't have the numbers to be able to do so. So if there's a collaborative that we can be a part of that aligns with our mission and our vision, we would be certainly happy to talk about it. We are moving more particularly around our injury prevention and safety for kids.
Yeah.
So some of the new things we'd like to address is particularly in the fall when you have a lot of football and soccer and those kinds of sports, how do we protect our kids from getting those concussions or those injuries?
Yeah.
The fall is particularly tough on those that are playing football because of the heat. So how do we prevent those heat-related illnesses? Those we'd like to certainly move into. How do we grow our dental program for our kids and our adults in this community? Because sometimes a smile makes the difference between somebody getting the job and not getting the job.
Right.
And if we can help with that, we certainly would like to. Two other ones that I've mentioned. One, we'd like to do a lot more with our diabetes prevention for this community. We would also like to do more with educating our community on how to control their blood pressure. Uncontrolled blood pressure leads to extra heart attacks and strokes, and those can be very limiting, not only to the person, but to a family.
Right.
If that main provider in that household has a stroke, that impacts everyone in that household. So how can we better educate our community on those types of things? And that's where we're trying to move in the future: diabetes, hypertension, preventing further tobacco use, cancer screenings. The other part, as it deals with our social determinants of health, how do we help folks that even have insurance best utilize their insurance so that they're getting all of the resources that they need? And then the last thing is where you live matters. So with that, how do we help our built environment, our home, our community in Bibb County, such that our environments are conducive to health? It is okay for you to be healthy. There's nothing wrong with you being healthy. And sometimes we don't understand that, but it's okay to be healthy. Let us help you get to that.
And we underestimate ourselves. We undervalue ourselves. That's why we are able to stay in a community and allow trash to be out on the street, allow somebody to dump in our neighborhoods, but we don't want to call and report them. We need to start calling and reporting, because all of these are determinants of healthy living.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that I just love about the cleanup efforts in this community, because all of that stuff, that trash being dumped, mostly in our areas, our neighborhoods, those things are not healthy for us. And folks dump everything. And folks have been complaining for years and years and years about that dump, those tires, those that fill up with water and breed mosquitoes that bite us and give us all kinds of stuff. You know, your environment means everything, because that's where you are, and where you live affects how healthy you are and the quality of life, how happy you are.
Absolutely. When you have to live in those kind of conditions, unfortunately, some folks begin to think that is their normal.
Right.
And this cleanup effort has shown that doesn't have to be your normal.
Right.
With public health, we're open 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, but we now have a digital board outside of our building.
Yeah.
And what you will notice is those messages run 24 hours a day. So you will see messages as people ride by. Sometimes you just need to remind it, it's okay to be healthy. You are important. And you're important to us, but you're important to other folks. Even if they don't verbalize it, you are.
Right.
So we're trying to get messages to the public. Even when everything else is closed, there's going to be some sign in front of our building that lets you know how important you are, from where you live to where you work to where you play.
That's right. That's right. And on that topic of expectations, a lot of times I get calls from people, Dr. Smith, who say, so and so has been out there on my street. This mattress has been out there on my street for months and months. I can't get it moved. If it were in North Macon, it would have been moved. Guess what? Folks in North Macon call. They call. They see an old shoe. So if they see an old shoe laying out there out of place, they call. They call because they want their area to be a nice, healthy area for them to live in. We should not expect less.
Right.
Because our taxes don't go down because, we're in an area that's dirty. You're going to pay your taxes, and you're going to pay the price the same price that everybody else pays for some, maybe a little more, because some of the places in our neighborhoods charge more for some things. But sometimes you don't demand what you should. And so it's about time for us. If you see something, what is it? If you see something, say something. If you see something that shouldn't be in your neighborhood, if you see something going on that shouldn't be going on, call folks and say something about it. If you don't know who to call Pastor Lisa, call Dr. Butler, call me, call somebody that you know, call somebody that you trust. And, you can turn stuff in without using your name. All of this information that you turn in, you can do it anonymously, and nobody will ever know that you turned something in, but you will have done a service for your area. So don't just accept anything, because you don't get a reduction in the fees that you pay or the taxes you pay or any of that because your area is less pleasant than somebody else's. So that's our big message for today. Ask for what's good for you. Dr. Butler says one call, that's all. And you're absolutely right. You just call the right one and get it in. Make and Bib has what we call service request, and we have See Click Fix. And everybody has a commissioner. Every district has a commissioner. There are 9 sections of Macon Bibb County. Each person has a commissioner elected from that area for a reason, because that person is there to serve, to take your requests, to help you, to send your information on to whomever it is that's going to work on it. And so it's left up to you whether you take advantage of it or not, because you pay for this. You're paying for the health department. That was portion of it was SPLOST money. Some of it was money that was in the accounts of the Bibb County Board of Health. Might have been some other funds that came in, right, but the majority of it, it was your money. Is your money. So utilize the services of the Macon Bibb Health Department. And those services are excellent. They're excellent. So let's talk. There's one thing that people ask about sometime, and that is, you touched on it, that's prevention. Mm-hmm. And the kinds of things that you do at the health department. I know that's under health education, but there's some other things that we can do to prevent some of the things. How do you deal with that?
Sure. So in terms of prevention, there's certainly our cancer screening preventions, but there are other things, and I'll try to do it by chronological age. Mm-hmm. When our kids are registering for Head Start, and even right now we're working with EOC to register kids for Head Start. So we provide that number, you register with them, but then our part of the process is that hearing, vision, and dental screen. Mm-hmm. So we're looking for things that may have a negative impact on that child learning. We're working with United Way to make sure that we emphasize what we call the basics, reading to your child, talking to your child every day. So those are things that we do. We also folks may need answers around genetic counseling. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a person in the family that has sickle cell. So you're wondering if I have a child, will I have sickle cell? Right. We have people on our team that can do that. Also, in terms of prevention, a number of our children play sports, are active. We can do those physicals there at the building if you didn't get the one that was handled by the school system. Yeah. And then the other one, this may not fall under prevention, but it's super important to me, and that is food insecurity in our community. There are folks that don't have enough to eat. And for us, right, our biggest program is our WIC program, Women, Infant, and Children, even though men can qualify for WIC too if they're taking care of a child. Mm-hmm. But making sure that if you think you qualify for that program, call us. If you do, we will sign you up. If you are already part of the program, then picking up those vouchers each month so that you have the food there in the home for you and your family.
What kinds of things are covered under WIC? What kinds of things?
Under WIC, certainly moms that have just delivered, children can be covered up to 5 years, depending on there may be a nutritional deficiency. And we have a nutritionist on site that will talk with families about that. But in many cases, it's based on income, because we don't want income to be a barrier to that child's
Right.
development.
Right.
And a hungry child does not learn as well as one that does
a
not.
hungry person.
And all of
Hungry
us.
person.
Right.
But children, we're responsible for taking
Yes.
care of them. So we need to make sure that the children have the proper nutrition. I was just looking through my papers here because last night the commission voted on, and I know that it's on my information. We voted on approval. It was a resolution. Oh, yeah, here it is. It was a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute food distribution service agreements in a total amount of $500,000 for the provision of community food distribution services. And these are coming out of the federal monies. The commission set aside $500,000 that would go to address the food issues in our community. And so there was a list of those agencies. There were about maybe 20, 25 different agencies that applied to receive, and each one received around $30,000.
Right.
And those agencies are to provide food distribution for this community. So you should be hearing about a lot of different programs where dates and locations where you can go and get food. Now, the last 2 years, I've seen more food distributed. And I have been so pleased that people have been distributing food. Our Middle Georgia Food Bank distributes just millions of tons of food. Whereas in the past, we have paid farmers to just destroy food. They just let it rot, and we've had a governmental program to pay the farmers, and they've just done nothing with it. Whereas, and I'm so happy that we have changed the way we're thinking about food, that there are people who can benefit, who can live because of the food. So look for food distribution programs in different locations and go and take advantage of it, utilize these different services. And as I said, there were at least 20 or 25 different entities, some church entities, some individual organizations that are going to be providing food distribution. So I was very, very excited. And with the rising prices, you are right, Pastor Lisa, with the rising prices of food, I went to the store the other night. The only meats that I got were a pack of the Senator Love's beef brats, sausage. So I got him a pack of those, and then I got 2 little packs, one of sliced ham and another turkey. I think that's about all the meat I got. And you would not believe that bill. I got some other stuff, y'all, but that bill was double. I, we can afford to buy, and we can absorb these additional costs because we know that a change is going to come. It's going to get better. But there are a lot of people who cannot absorb these costs, these additional costs in their budget. So these food distribution programs are going to be vital. And these are taking place all over because that's one of the areas of focus that a lot of communities are using their federal money on. And so we encourage you to please take advantage of those. We only have a few more minutes left, and we want thank all of those who have tuned in with us today. Y'all, please share this so that others can benefit from the information that has been shared with us by our own Dr. Jimmy Smith. Dr. Smith, what would you say would be something if you had to tell somebody that was the most important thing as far as their health care now? What would you say to citizens?
It would actually be one that I can't address in our building, but I think it is awfully, awfully important to pay attention to one's own mental health. We have gone through 2 years where we have lost lots of folks out of our community.
We
have
sure
seen
have.
nearly 1 million people that we've lost because of COVID. So we normally in the South ask one, hey, are you okay? And we normally respond, I'm fine. Well, after 2 years of this, we're not fine. Everyone has gone through something to some degree or another. So I would say when you ask someone, hey, are you okay? Be genuine in that and be ready for the response you may get.
And there are some mental health services that are being provided in the community.
Yes.
And they're not like set up an appointment or anything and go lay on the sofa, but these are soft kind of activities that are going on at the rec centers and at other different places in the community. And so take advantage of them. Sometimes it's just a matter of going to Tobesofsky and lay it out there by the water, or, or going to help somebody, doing some community service. All of that helps. But you're absolutely right. Mental health, there are a lot of people every day. I see somebody that I know who has passed on. And the older you get, the more people that are passing. And it reminds us that we need to do something while we're here. We need to do whatever we can to help people while we can, and not regret that our time is gone and we haven't done anything to help people. All right, go ahead and extend another invitation to all citizens to come and take advantage of the opportunities and the services of the Macon-Bibb Health Department.
Absolutely. We are located at 1600 Forsyth Street, Macon, Georgia, 31201. We are there Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. And as Commissioner Lucas has said, you will also see us out in the community. So we'll be at a elementary school this Friday. We will be at St. Peter Claver on Saturday afternoon with a health fair targeted toward our Hispanic Latino community.
That's great. That is great.
And we do have bilingual staff as well. So language is not a barrier.
That
when
is
you come
important.
to us.
Yeah. And by the way, those of you who are bilingual, your services are needed. Your services can be used by law enforcement, the courts, health departments, any place where you've got people who speak different languages or who don't speak English. So if you're bilingual, you might want to check out the job opportunities that there are in being a translator. And folks are even going to school now to study for working in a consulate or working in other countries in that area if they speak more than one language. So there are just so many things that we love sharing with you. Thank you so very much. I know that our time is gone. Our engineer's not waving at me, but he'll cut me off in a minute. But listen, thank you so very much. And as we said, please, if you're not registered to vote, please get registered to vote. You've got time, but don't wait until the last minute. And by all means, mark your calendar for May 24th for the primary election. And then November, we'll be reminding you of the elections in November. So we just want to thank you. We want to thank Dr. Smith, who has been our wonderful guest today. Join us again next Wednesday, 3 to 4, right here on WDDO for another edition of Ask Elaine. Our special guest next week will be 2 members of the Macon-Bibb Water Authority, Dr. Anissa Jones, and Dwight Jones. So thank you for tuning in. And on behalf of everybody here, Dr. Smith, Health Department, thank you so very much for tuning in. And we'll see you again next Wednesday for another edition of Ask Elaine.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.